Hello, my friends. It's me, Karen Valentine. And I think we're going to be able to finish up our Cavalier King Charles Spaniel today. I certainly hope so. I can't imagine it taking much more than one more video. So I think I have the lighting set pretty good so that you don't get the washed out look. I was looking at the video from the last video, and it kind of looked like it was all washed out, and that was because of the lighting. So hopefully that is not something that we will run into today, and it will look a little bit more true. So let's see, what did we use last time? For the darks, we used warm gray 4, cold gray 5, and warm gray 6. And I think we're going to need to add something a little bit lighter, because as we get down lower, it does get lighter, and I think it needs to be a warm. So I'll add warm gray 3. And maybe even, if I can find it, sitting here. No, those are my pastels. Maybe even a warm gray, like 2 or 1 even. Let's pull warm gray 1. And 2. So we have 1, 2, 3. We have almost all the warm grays. 4, 6, and 1 cold gray. All right, so I think I'm going to do it pretty much just the way that we wound up doing this one, and that is adding the darks and then pulling them away. So it's not super duper interesting, really, but that is what we have to do, I think. So let's see, how do I want to do this? Can't cover up my work area. That's better. Okay, so this is warm gray 5, and I think it needs to come in here. And I really kind of want to, I really should kind of figure out where the edge of my Spaniel is going to be. You know, I might not even need this. This is just going to probably be in my way. Okay, so I think I have it marked pretty well on the back side of where the last of the lightest gray should be, and that's probably, this is warm gray 1. Yeah, so that's going to be the edge. And we might even erase some of that out, but I think that'll be good there. And that all looks about right. So, okay, I'll just keep going. So back to the warm gray 6. Looks like there should be some in here. And maybe a little bit of that in here too. It's still pretty dark right underneath these curls. I like my little push pin magnets, but sometimes I think I would prefer a flat magnet. It probably wouldn't be as easy to take off because they're pretty strong. I mean, they've got a nice strong grip to them, but I can't work over them. I have to move them out of my way. So I actually have some flat ones, but they're all like bright, colorful. Not that there's anything wrong with that. They don't have that neutral color, which I like when I'm working on a page, because then the color that's on there with the magnets doesn't compete. But that's just me being weird, I think. All right, so this is still pretty dark, and I believe that that's what this little sketch bit is, so I'm going to keep bringing it down. But if you recall last video when I was talking about how after I put the eraser in, I could see like this fine grain still. I could tell you right now in looking at it and what I'm doing, I can see that grain right now. And it's the tooth of the paper. And I'm really not putting a lot of, one layer or maybe 2 layers of the pencil on top of this when you're not pressing down really hard is really not a lot of pencil. So I think I'm going to see what happens if after I get my darks down, kind of like I did here, but I'll do it before the eraser. I'm going to add some more layers of like a 1 or a 2, just to try and smooth out that tooth. You wouldn't think that that this paper has any tooth, because when you feel it, it's like glass. But it does. It would have to, or else it wouldn't be able to grab the colored pencil. Okay, there's some other areas here where I think I want a little bit darker. And I think that would be like in here. Want the problem with the shaking camera that I had videos ago. It's a different camera setup, camera holder that I'm using than I used to use, and it allows me to film on my easel at an angle, which the other one did not. I could only film straight down with that one. But it also has to, what's that word? There's a word for that, where it hovers way out above my work area, which means that it's a little more susceptible to shaking. So if I were to go from there to there, so this color needs to come down a little bit further. out. And this is right. I think this is where I want it to be. It just doesn't look right, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, so let's go to warm gray 4. We could actually go right over the top of what we've just put down. Now watch, I'll go through all this and I'll put like a heavier coat of color down, and I won't be able to I won't be able to lift it back with the eraser. They'll hear me all the way on the other side of the world going, no! That would suck. I think it'll be okay. I still think it'll pull. It's a little scary for me completely covering up the sketch marks that I have on the back side, but again, we'll do it just like we did last time, and we'll use a proportional divider if we need to. I'm just going to lighten up a little bit in here. I think I'll switch to the warm gray 3, because it does kind of start to get a little bit lighter as we work our way down. Keep looking up and seeing the camera shake. And I thought, oh, well, it'll be okay, because when I first started filming, I thought the camera was shaking, but the, what do they call that? Some setting in the camera kept it from looking bad on film, and it was like, oh, okay, good. So the camera can shake, but it equalizes and it doesn't show up on the film. And then I watched the video of the first one of these, and it was like wobble, wobble, wobble. Man, that's kind of a bummer. Okay, I'm going to keep this color kind of going down the center. And then I think to myself, well, you know what, if you slowed down like you are supposed to, and like you're telling everybody else to do, then your camera won't shake. But sometimes it's hard to remember that, because again, you get all like excited and you want this part to go fast because it's boring, and you want to move on to the fun stuff. Thinking it might be time to start to switch again. What have we got here? Whew, it might also be time for me to turn a fan on. It was not bad earlier this morning. It's been a strange September where it's already cooling down here, which is really bizarre because it usually is still in the 90s in October. It doesn't really start to cool down until the very end of October here. This kind of looks almost, well, we'll see. You know what, I'll just keep going, and then if I have to add some more color in, I will. But that kind of looks more sepia-ish than gray to me. I think we can add it. Boy, this looks yucky. This is the ugly phase. If somebody is just tuning in right now and they don't know what we're doing, they'd be like, whoa, what is she doing? Okay, what was that? 2. This is 1. It may not be dark enough. And this is actually kind of looking, when I compare these colors here, this is much pinker. I might have to throw some, other colors in here. I do know what though. Because they look very, you know how some grays have a purpley cast to it? That's what I always think of when I think of warm grays. And these warm grays have more of a taupey color to me, like not green, like a greenish, which is kind of what I always thought of French grays as. So you can never, your colors are definitely going to change from brand to brand, that's for sure. Okay, well, all this has to get filled in. I can't leave it unfilled in, so we have to fill it all in. So I'm just going to do it all. I was being nervous about the whites, but I don't have to be nervous. Just let it go. Maybe we'll stop around there and then we'll work that bit. So let me get this going in here. I think if I go too much lighter than this number 2, we won't even be able to see what we're trying to do. So slow down. It's so hard. I just want to go crazy. Can't do it. You would be sorry if you did. All right, I want to add something, but I don't know what that is. So let me just, see, there's no Polychromos. I don't think that will give me the color that I want. I wonder if Derwent Drawing might. You know, I was so excited about getting those pencils, and I don't think I've broken them out once. So, Mars Violet and Derwent Drawing. It might be too dark, but if we go really lightly, it might be good. Ooh, wait, I just saw one. I just saw the color that we're going to use. It's Sepia 10% in the Luminance. Sepia 10%. Oh, this is it. This is the color we should have used all along, I betcha. I betcha, I betcha. Oh yeah, that's better. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of add this all over. I think it'll be just fine. I think it's okay that we put the gray down first. I think that actually probably works in our favor. If you don't have this and you're following along with me, maybe just add some cold gray. I don't think it's, again, super duper duper important that you get the color exactly right. Exactly the same as me. As long as you have a nice contrast between your fur curls and your shadows, it'll be all right. But I think if you were to add some cold gray on top of the warm gray, yeah, that's what I would do. So if you're following along with me and you're using, and you don't have the sepia 10%, just put some cold gray 3 on there. It will cool down the brownish tones, and I think it would be fine. That's why I like really big swatches for my color charts, because it just makes it really, really easy to look through them and have a color that I need just really pop out at me. Plus I'm old, so, you know, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be either. No, this was not very exciting. I always, well, you guys know, if you watch my channel, you know I always worry when things are like not exciting and I have to do boring parts. And I keep thinking just fast, you know, like I'm just gonna like speed color through it, but I guess if you guys don't want to see it, you can do that yourself. Okay, I actually think that I'm going to continue with this color a little further out. Just really super duper lightly, like barely blend it. Because we're going to probably wind up using white in here anyway, so. Okay, is that enough? I think that looks pretty good. It's the dark that shows up grainy. The light color, you can't see the grain of the paper. Okay, we're gonna go for it. Alrighty, so we've got some bits that are right here. Don't forget to keep brushing off your eraser. And we've got a big curl that pretty much starts, well, I think it's pretty much right here actually. I think that's, so let's get that in here. And these are all just really faint. They're not pulled off. They're not, I'm not going to pull off as much in here because they're just soft and kind of in the shadow there. So I won't go too crazy there. Okay, then we've got a couple here. And again, this part is dark, but I am going to pull a little bit. Okay, this was this one right here. We have these that come around here. Okay, then we have one that's kind of in here. Gonna probably wind up having to put a new eraser in here before the end of the some of this is just kind of guessing. It's not really, they're really faded out and subtle, so it doesn't have to be too distinct. And I think what we'll wind up doing is bringing the kneaded eraser in and just softening that edge. You also have the option to use your creative license, and if there's anything that to you just still looks way too dark, by all means, you know, lighten it up. It's kind of, it's your art, it's your thing. So if something just still looks way too dark to you, or you want to add another curl in somewhere, do it. Do it until it looks good to your eye. That's the important thing. Okay, so we need, I think this was this one. we need some. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I was thinking with that big dark spot there. Something's is just not right. I don't know if I can. Well, let's just try. We're just gonna make it up now. I don't know why I did that. And maybe it was right and maybe it was not, but so you also want to make sure that you go on top of it. Try and cut that down a little bit. Kind of not following anymore. I'm just kind of doing my own thing here. But I think it's coming out okay. I'm gonna have to go back over with the ear color, I think, because we want the ear color to be on top of the white, not under. Hopefully we can do that. I'm going to use walnut brown for that. Yep, okay. Yeah, I don't know where I got some of these shapes, so I'm just going to create some more curls and make sure that they all go in different directions, because that's what they do here. I think I intended this to be this here, but we've got a lot. We've got a lot of space. Oh yeah, see, but that's okay because we can just do something else. It doesn't matter. That's the wonderful thing. Okay, I'm gonna lighten this a little bit if I can. Oh. That's a little bit better. Okay, that makes more sense now. It was just this big black blob. It didn't look right. Okay. This feels pretty good. I'm just going to keep going. And if we decide to add some dark in anywhere, we can. You know what I am going to do? I am going to erase those lines on the back because they are distracting me. I'm going to take those out. And while I'm at it, I might as well just take all of this out too. This. Okay, back. nice big one. And then it looks like right about here is where the big, soft, fluffy one starts. We've got some sort of heavy. Might need to add a little bit of color in here down low. Don't forget to keep cleaning the tip off of that eraser. I'm just pulling it off with my fingers. Alrighty. I'm going to add some more of the dark, no, not dark sepia, just sepia, 10%, if I can find where I put it. There it is. Okay, so I'm just going to put some more of that in here. Something about the way I did these, where it kind of looks too much like a swirl, like a circle. So I'm just gonna put some more color in there, try and break up that swirly circle a little bit. And then maybe add, that's better. Okay, so I think we're gonna add a little bit more in here, because really it's really not dark enough compared to the reference photo. Now, part of me feels like the reference photo is too dark for my taste, for what I want. But I do want to be careful and not be too light. We can always darken some of those curls on the back side too, if we want. I don't know that we need to do that yet though, so I'm gonna just keep part of me wonders if I should break out some kind of a light gray. Maybe the cool. What have I got? Cool gray, cold gray 1. Let's just... I'm just curious. I want to see what happens if I put tan paper under here. Well, it significantly darkens this because the curls are not as bright white. So maybe I'll just keep going with my cold gray 1 and cold gray 3. It's probably down here that, although when I look, I don't know. I don't know. Some gray on here. I think that the curls are too white. I think that's just the problem. That was too dark, maybe. I think we'll switch to cold gray 1. I think that was 3. That was too dark. If we're just doing the curls, I think the curls can be. That's too dark. So I'm just going to lighten that up a little bit. The thing that's nice about the kneaded eraser is that it takes off in a bigger, smoother area, whereas the mono eraser takes off in a pretty precise kind of line. So okay, so let's do, I think part of the problem for me is right now it looks funny because his coloring is all just right here. So I want to work on the rest of the body a little bit. So for that, we're going to need our Bistre. I think I'm going to pull Caput Mortem and the burnt sienna and the walnut brown. Okay, so the walnut brown is at the top. I'm going to go very lightly because it's kind of sharp. It's not super dull, so I want to keep my pressure real light. Do the Bistre. I maybe should have had this hair come down a little bit further, so that is how I have it drawn in my sketch on the back. So let's get the white on here, and if we have to come in and put some more, we will. Back of him is gray. But very light gray. So I think I'll use the cold gray one, and actually pull the cold gray two also. Okay, so another case where it really is fading into nothing. So I'll put the white on the very top, and we can always use the eraser to pull it back if it's too defined. I think this is what I want. Well, I'm going all the way to the edge on mine because I planned on not framing it and hanging it on the wall in a clipboard. If you are doing artwork and you plan on framing it, you know, you can leave yourself like a ½ inch all around because the mat will cover it. Do a little bit of number 2. maybe even darker than that. Okay, it's time for brown again. Again, you do not have to use white if you don't want to. And probably if you're going to frame it, you definitely don't have to. I just like it. I like how it looks on there, so. Also, if you want to do drafting film and you're going to like put another color behind it for a background, if you wanted your background to be, you know, like green or whatever, you could do that. But then you definitely are going to want to put your white color in where your whites go, or else they're going to be green. So, I think we'll probably use the Tombow a little bit in here too. So I'm gonna throw. Okay, let's take this out. And I think that's too strong, too heavy. I don't want it that heavy. I want it to be really super soft. So put that back. I'm not sure how to get that to be so soft and blurred like the photo is. It's kind of easy going over the gray because it just blends into that gray. So that's not too bad. We need a little bit more of that brown. Okay. Maybe I just need a lighter touch. Maybe I was pressing too hard. Because the harder you press, the heavier your line will be. So that might have been my problem. Erase this out. Put that there. Do I have lines there? Bet I do. Are you guys getting tired of me moving this thing all over the place yet? don't think I erased these. And we're pretty much at the point where none of this should have any lines on it. Okay, I don't like how that looks. It's still, it's not blurry enough. And I am not exactly sure what to do about that. So I'm going to try a few things. I'm going to try my white and see if I can get it to blur that way. Because again, things don't blend on the drafting film like they do on regular paper. So I'm just using this to break up the gray that was on there because I want it to be a little softer. All right, I'm going to try something here. I talked about it in the last video. I don't know if it'll work, but you know what? It's a tiny little area, so I think that if it doesn't work, we can add pencil back on top. And if it ruins the tooth, which I don't think it will, you know, it's not a big focal point area. It needs more color though. That's might just be my problem, is that it just needs more pigment. But it's really soft and out of focus here, and achieving that is not easy. Or if it is easy, I don't know how to do it yet. So it's quite different. It's quite different than this is. So I'll work it just a little bit more before I decide to break out the mineral spirits. It needs maybe sepia. That might be too dark. I'm going to go very, very lightly with this. Okay, here's what I'm going to do first. A little bit more of this. Sepia. This actually might need some more gray. So I don't like how this has no texture on it and it's just white. So I'm going to put some, I might wind up, after working this long enough, I might wind up not having to use the mineral spirits. No, I want to see what happens on that edge. I might completely muck it up, but I want to see. This needs to come down a little bit more, but not that color. Walnut brown. Yeah, we could probably do walnut brown. Just a little bit. A few more hairs. That's fine. All right, so I'm going to take a paper stump that I have not used yet. And I'm searching for my bottle of mineral spirits. Where is it? I have my jar, but you know, there's pigment kind of in there, and I'm afraid. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so this is Gamsol. However, I bought it to compare it to regular old odorless mineral spirits from the hardware store, and it reacts exactly the same way. And the odorless mineral spirits from the hardware store are so much cheaper. Okay, so I dipped the tip in. You can see it's just a teeny bit darker than the rest, and I rubbed that tip off on my towel. Okay, I'm gonna zoom this in, and if I do that, then I have to move my paper, or else you won't be able. Oops, sorry. So the odorless mineral spirits are on here, and the tip has been rubbed off on a paper towel. So I don't know if you can see this. I can see it, and it's awesome. It is just moving that pigment around just enough to give a softer, blurred effect. Now it might be dry by now. I might have to do it again, because I really did wipe off quite a lot of it. I mean, I've kind of blended out everything that I put on here as far as like, but I like it better. So now I want to see what happens. Oh, that's just look at that. Okay, I really think the key is, I mean, literally the thing almost feels dry, there was just enough to move that pigment around a little bit, and you can see it didn't pick it all up. It just kind of moved it around a little bit. So I would say that is a win. I actually quite like that, and yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's see what happens. Will it still erase after I did that? That's the question. Yes, you can still, it will still pick up pigment. So that's excellent. Oh, that makes me very happy. Oh my gosh, am I finished? Is that possible? Okay, let's not get too excited here. Let's just take a minute, sit back. I do tend to do that a bit, get all excited thinking that it's done. Although why I get excited when it's done, I don't know, because then I'm sad because it's done. So, but that just means I can start on a new one. Okay, let's pull this out. Let me see, let me push this out a little bit. Nope. Nope. Let me pull this away. want you to be able to see it, but if I go using the anti-zoom, I don't know what to call it, the color gets all messed up. So this way at least I think we can see pretty well. Okay, I'm just gonna step up and look at it through the camera. Now the coloring on the neck is definitely it's definitely different, but really the coloring on the whole thing is different, so that might not be too much of an issue. It maybe could use a little bit more dark, but I don't know. I might be happy with it as it is. I'm looking for my sepia 10% again. Just get these out of the way here. Either that or like dark gray. No, I don't. Well, let's see. Let's add a little bit of dark sepia in here. We could do it on the back side. I hope my hair hasn't been showing up on the camera too much. Every once in a while I feel my head hit the camera because I'm leaning in so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, I kind of like that. I liked the addition of that sepia. And this is the stump. I think that the mineral spirits are mostly all gone from it, but sometimes just a dry stump will blend the pencil out just enough to. I'm adding the brown, the dark sepia on top of this gray. I'm not sure how I feel about all that gray. I think I kind of like the dark sepia instead. So I'm not going to replace all the gray, but I might add a little bit more. You know, this stump blends just enough to make me happy. Yes, yes it does. Okay, I don't want to go too dark, too low, because then that would really be not what the photo looks like, but oh man. One of my new favorite tools, I think. Eraser. Okay, I want to add, if I can, just a few more curls going in different directions. This probably should be darker. I put a pencil down and then I can't find it. This is the sepia 10%. What's the next one up? Yeah, 50% I think would be too dark. I do think 50% would be too dark for sure. So we could always add some to the back if we wanted. That would do the job. Kind of like those little, the stripy, little stripy hairs all going in the same direction. I like the texture that added. Kind of feeling okay with this. This hair, this little fluffy bit here doesn't look quite fluffy enough to me. That's a little bit better. Well, all right, let's just go over everything a little bit more carefully and see if there's anything else that I want to change. This might be a little bit light. I kind of like this color, so I'll just use it. Okay, what did we do? Didn't we use like a warm gray 1 or warm gray 2 on this side to tone down the yellow? I think we did, and it just did enough. It kept it light because it's very light it's already, but if it seems to just take the yellow down just enough. You probably can't tell on the film on the camera because it's subtle, but it really made a difference. It just knocked it back just enough to where I don't feel like it's screaming at me anymore. That's better. Okay. You know what? I want to make his face a little bit darker. These lines in here look like they might have, I don't know. I'm still unsure about the whole fading thing. Now that this piece is done, I'm going to post it in the drafting film group, and I'm going to ask everybody if they have experienced fading. This is burnt umber. Because I feel like, you know, you do your work and you're really happy and you think, okay, this looks great. And then you go back and it's like, okay, wait, did my eye completely change? Or did that fade out? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So I'm sure I will be doing more pieces like this, drafting film pieces. And hopefully I'll have an answer for you by the time that I do the next piece, the next drafting film piece. I already know what I'm doing for the next I don't even know what to call these anymore. They're not really color-alongs anymore, are they? Live drawing demonstration. I'm going to do another pastel piece, and it's going to be a panda. Not a red panda. He's super cute. Okay, this might feel a little bit red to me, so I'm just going to put some of this. I don't know if that helped or not. And this looks like it got lighter. What is going on? Okay, that's better. That looks pretty good in there, like that. I'm going to darken this up just a little bit more. But again, when I put the dark on, the marks that I made with the slice tool still show up and are still lighter, which I like that. Okay, what about under his nose? Does that look okay? Does his nose look okay? You know, this is the point usually where I would be like, okay, it's done, and I turn it off. And then I sit here and fiddle for another hour. But I might as well just let the camera keep going. That looks pretty good. His eyes still look okay. Yeah, they're a little bit lighter than the reference photo, but you know what I'm going to do? Since it's sitting right here and I want to try it, I'm going to push, oh, how do I do this so that it's not, I'm going to push this camera in, and I think we're going to forget about the reference photo for you guys. I'm just going to move it off screen a little bit. So that we can get this. Okay, that helps me get closer. This is the Derwent Drawing Ivory Black. Everybody says that it's the blackest black. And again, I could do this on the back side too. And if I ever ran out of tooth, if it just wouldn't take the color, I would do that. But I don't think I need to right now. I'm doing my eyes a little bit lighter than the photo because I'm giving them a... But I don't think the photo is, you know, the photo's not super duper. Yeah. It's my party and I'll not sing. No, not sing. Sometimes you just got to do what you want to do and not worry about the reference photo. Boy, it's taking that Derwent drawing, really. I'm barely touching the paper. Okay, I feel like the eyes are dark enough now. At least the outer edge. That. I can go a little bit darker. All right, guys. I think we're done. Okay, so I was looking at the reference photo actually on my iPad. And the difference between this and what I see when I printed it is that the body line actually comes all the way out to halfway to the ear, which makes so much more sense and doesn't make the dog look like a skinny little tower. It just wasn't showing up very well on the printed version. So I'm going to bring that body line. I kind of started playing with it a little bit, but I'm going to bring that body line out further. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this here, because even this to me kind of still feels, I don't know, something's not, it still feels weird. Like right now, he looks like he's got this really long, skinny neck. So that is what I'm going to do. So I think I'll start with like warm gray 1 and maybe cold gray 1. Maybe I'll mix them because I still want it to be light, but I definitely feel like it needed, you know, I was looking at it and thinking, okay, it's done, but it really wasn't done, and there was just something that was bugging me. So that's what it was, that it just needed that extra body thickness. So hopefully we can get it dark enough that you can see it, but light enough to fade away and look like. I may wind up just going darker just because it bugs me that the dog looks too skinny, too weird. It looked odd. Still the cold gray. Cooper thinks it looks weird too. We had, gotta get him to stop. I got tired of him barking because he sits in the front window, and anybody that walks by, he starts barking at. And I don't know if he's saying hi or if he's saying, get off my lawn or what, but it just got to the point, especially when I had the baby here. And even though the baby's been kind of conditioned to go to sleep, even with noises going on and all that stuff, it's still, you know, a dog barking loudly can still wake him up when I don't want him to wake up. So I hung like blackout curtains in the front window, which it's kind of is a bummer because it made the room darker, and it's already kind of a dark house as it is. But so part of me feels guilty because like his pleasure was sitting on that couch and looking out the window all day long. So I do like to take those down every once in a while. But my point was, we have a dog across the street, a little ways across the street, and that dog also barks, and it's like the two of them will have a conversation. That dog will like bark out to Cooper, and Cooper will respond back. I'd love to know if dogs actually like can carry on a conversation in their barking, because it sure seems like it. All right, so I got some color laid down here. I'm going to start there and see how I feel about that now. I don't want super defined curls like I have here on the front. So this little piece actually fell off of my kneaded eraser. So I'm just gonna try it and see what kind of texture I can get this way. Gotta be careful. Don't want to put creases in my... Okay, so that broke it up a little bit. I don't know how well you could see that. I might add a little bit darker. Let's see, this is warm gray 2. And I might actually do a few more defined curls. Coming over a little bit. It's better, but I kind of feel like I still want it to be a little bit darker. So I think what I'll do is put a little bit of, this is the Cold Gray 5. I might put a little bit of that. Put a little bit of that under here, then it draws the eye out. To look this way so that you can kind of see the faint body line a little bit better. At least in theory, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. All right, I want to try and see what happens if I take that stump. There's no mineral spirits on this. I just want to see if it blends. It does a decent job of softening and blending out a little bit, so I like that. We'll go with that. Yeah, see, now you can kind of see that the body comes out a little bit further. And then this line is bugging me a little bit, even though on the reference photo it is showing, I checked the measurements and it's right on the reference photo, and now it looks a little bit better. I still am thinking I might want to go a little bit, just a little bit darker. Cold gray 3, maybe just a few marks, not like the whole thing maybe, but just a few darker bits to again, draw that eye out just so that yeah, see, that's better. That's better. Okay, so we'll do that. And then there's something about this that I still feel like it really should be higher. So I don't know if I want to fade it out. I just don't know. It feels a little harsh, a little straight. Even that kind of helped. I might see if I can pull it up though, just a little bit. So what would I use for that? Almost done, but not quite. Remember which one I used on that. It was either warm gray 1 or cold gray 1. This is warm gray 1. Cold gray 1. That kind of fades out a little bit. I think we're on the right track here. Yeah, it doesn't feel quite so, like his neck just looked like it was super skinny and super tall before. And now at least when you look at him, you can tell that there's a body of a dog back there, which is better, which is much, much better. And I think I'm okay with how this looks too. Yeah, that's a lot better. I think I'm pleased. I'm pleased with that now. So, alrighty. So I was quick to think that it was finished, but no, it was not. But now I'm feeling much happier now that that body, you can tell, is coming out a little bit further. And actually, when I look at the actual photo on online, I don't know, on the screen, it kind of looks like this is really still really, really dark, but in person, it's not any darker than the neck that we created. And I think that's why in my head, I didn't want to go as dark as the reference photo, because I had seen the original picture, and the neck looked lighter than it did in the photo, in the printed photo. So I am, I'm happy. And now it's done. So, yeah, so that is all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, for hanging in through till the bitter end. And I will be back hopefully soon with another live drawing painting session. And we're going to do, I've already got it picked out, we're going to do this really darling red panda in pastels. So until I see you then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Happy arting, happy coloring. Bye.